Reggie Murphy, and I will be your moderator for this afternoon's session. And if you've been to one of these, you know how it works. Okay, we have 7 presenters. They will come up and they will have 5 minutes only, because I have my handy dandy stopwatch. So not only am I your moderator, I'm also the time police. And I will be giving all of our presenters the 1-minute time limit, as well as the 30-second one, okay? So when I do that, then you know you need to be wrapping up. Now, since we only have 7 presenters, we may have some time at the end for a little Q&A if there's time left over. So please stick around, and if you have a question or a thought, then you can ask one of the presenters towards the end. But please give them your undivided attention, and we will get started right now with Matt Waite from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. And the title of his presentation is How Playing Mad Libs Can Turn You into a Bot Developer. All right, welcome, Matt.
All right, full disclosure, I wrote this code in the hallway about 20 minutes ago. This is either going to work spectacularly or I'm going to look like an idiot. So, I have been thinking a lot about software that writes stories, about how we can automate a bunch of really rote tasks. And as I have started teaching journalism to students, I realize there's an awful lot of kind of boilerplate stories that we do that a bot could do almost as well and certainly much faster. And so I decided, after seeing Ken Schwenke's QuakeBot get a bunch of attention, that this should be a class. Let's have a class in this. And the class is going to be equal parts software and kind of existential questions about what does it mean to be human. And hopefully we'd reveal something about journalism in the meantime. So this summer I was sitting around thinking, how am I going to teach this to undergraduates? And it dawned on me, a lot of the really basic bots are really just a kind of really super nerdy game of Mad Libs. Remember Mad Libs as a kid? You fill in a noun, a verb, anything like that? I'll show you. I want to make this kind of interactive. So last night, Robert Hernandez, probably half in the bag, tweets out that Jets fan Jim Brady has agreed to wear a Tom Brady jersey while he sings O&A 14 karaoke if someone donates $1,000 to O&A. Well, we can apply the Mad Libs idea to this, and let's figure out what other things might Jim Brady do if someone were to donate stuff. So I'm going to do this in Python. First thing I want to do is I want to import the random library because I want to randomly choose the things that we're going to talk about here. So to start off, I need 3 verbs. Anyone? A verb. Sorry?
Eat.
Eat.
Croon.
Croons.
Her.
Flouts. All right, good one. I need activities.
Drinks.
Sorry about that. Second one.
Swag.
I didn't hear it. What was it?
Swagger.
Swagger. All right, one more.
Juggle.
All right. And I need amounts.
1,000. 3. 5.
So I said one.
And I need items.
Sword.
Swords.
Frisbees.
All right. So what I've done is I've created 4 lists. These are Python structures that store little bits of data. They're nothing terribly exciting. This is like day 1 or 2 of programming 101. Am I not getting enough audio? Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to print them off. I want to print something on the screen that says, breaking Jets fan Jim Brady has agreed to wear a Tom Brady jersey if he, and then I'm going to substitute in what I want. Now down below you'll see random.choice verbs, activities, amounts, and items. So what will happen when I run this is, oops, not that one, there. It will substitute in those words. Jets fan Jim Brady has agreed to wear a Tom Brady jersey while he, oops. You know what I didn't do? I didn't save it.
Somebody turn the switch off.
So,
That works.
hey.
There you go.
Why is mine?
You don't have to hold it now.
Okay, excellent. Ah, crap. I hate this.
saved it. He's agreed, while he eats ONA 14 swaggers, if someone donates 3 Frisbees to ONA. Or maybe 1,000 Frisbees to ONA. He'll croon ONA 14 drinks if someone donates 1,000 Frisbees. He will flout ONA 14 juggles if someone donates 1,000 words. Swords, excuse me, swords. Donate.
1 minute.
Swords being a lot more interesting. Well, you might think this is kind of silly, but it's not that much farther off than this bot here that opens up the latest unemployment numbers from the BLS.
30 seconds.
Goes through here, finds this year, last year, this month, last month, does some percent change math, creates some verbs, prints them off, and then when we run them, unemployment decreased 1.6% last month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported with the rate now standing at 6.1%. Simple childhood game can be made very, very sophisticated very quickly. And you all have the educational foundation to learn it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For the technical difficulties.
And it worked.
Okay, hang tight for just 1 second. We're going to change computers here.
Move the side on me. Yep.
There we go. Okay, next up we have Julie Tolberg, and she's from the Monash University, all the way from Australia. Yes, you get to travel the longest distance to get to ONA award. All right, and the title of her presentation is University Digital War Room for Industry Projects. Julie, give her a hand.
Thanks for having me, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I've not long left industry where I worked in Australia's biggest newsroom, the Herald Sun, and it's part of the News Corp empire. And coming into academia has been quite a challenge, and we've introduced some innovations in the university system to help the students better adapt to industry. So what we've done is we've set up collaborations with industry where we're looking at Rupert Murdoch's major paper, The Australian, and we're offering students real experiences in news, and this opportunity to collaborate with the newsroom. We actually collaborate by distance, so we're based in Melbourne and the Australian's in Sydney, but we communicate all the time remotely, and it works out really well. So what we try to do is boost the students' resumes, inspire excellence amongst the student body. They're really wanting to work on these big projects now. And also to develop relationships across faculties and industry. So we're looking at the talent in other areas of the university, such as art and design. And we develop the students' abilities in digital production. So traditionally our journalism courses, been very much focused on print and broadcast, and now digital's, really developing in Australia. And also we're developing their leadership skills in the newsroom situation. So what we did is we produced a project called Troops in Terror Zone, and I'll talk a little bit about what that means in a sec. But this big project involved the digital production team at the Australian, the defence writer and editor of the Australian. Then we had 6 journalism leaders, 2 staff in multimedia in a different faculty at Monash, and then we had myself in journalism. Then we recruited 2 PhD experts in history who were able to fact check all the the facts related to our Afghanistan war project. And then we had 25 master's students in both multimedia and journalism, 2 different faculties who contributed to the project. And then we had 50 undergraduate students involved as well. So altogether we had about 80 students involved with the project. And it was first set up by the editor of The Australian and myself with support from my department. So we wanted to produce a digital story of the history of Australia's involvement in the Afghanistan war from this period, 2001, since 9/11, right and through until last year when they pulled out the troops from Australia. And what we have done is we've introduced the digital content within the master's and undergraduate coursework to build their newsroom skills. So it's like they're working in a newsroom at university. So the skills that they've developed are leadership in digital production, and that's been incredibly significant. The reason is we have about 16 master's students who come from China. They're international students, and so they need a lot of language support, and they've got incredible digital production skills and multimedia skills, but our students have been helping them from a journalistic point of view, and that's been incredibly beneficial for both of us. And we've created infographics, videos, timelines, music and audio. The students have written their own music, interactive maps and galleries. Then they've learned Adobe products as well, and they've learned animation. And they've learned how to be project coordinators and then communicate better. And these are the results of the project. We've had a big project published in The Australian, online and for tablet as well. This has initiated a conference paper, and then we've entered the students in awards in Australia. It's encouraged another industry project in Australian football, and now we have the project work written into a new course so they can claim academic credit. And then the graduating students who've since graduated, since we started this project in January, they have now scored jobs, one in a TV network, one in the corporate sector, and one writing infographics. So it's been a successful journey, and we're still learning as we go. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Very good. All right. Thank you, Julie. Okay, next up, we have Tom Mallory. We need to do a computer switch, which will take just a second. I'll plop this out. Is that all right? Okay. University of Texas at San Diego.
No, UT San Diego.
UT San Diego.
Formerly University. I need a different thing.
Yeah. It's, we just got to pull this out
Okay.
because that's a PC.
How traditional.
Yeah. Okay, Tom is from UT San Diego, and the title of his presentation is The History of Communication in a Minute, from word of mouth back to word of mouth.
Wait, we have lost signal here.
Okay.
This is bad. Uh-oh.
Let us pause for a second for this
Mingle around amongst yourselves for a moment, please.
technical break. All right, go right ahead.
Yeah, it was ported on. Try it on again. It was working right over there. All right, here we go. All right, Cookman Gas. Okay, great. I first got involved in online journalism some time ago. Here's a photograph of me when I started, in the mistaken belief that every little squib, every brief, every little thing in the paper had to be replicated online in its exact form. And you can see just how great that looks, right? Well, it doesn't. And the reason is, people make that mistake every time a new technology comes up. People misunderstand, can't really see the far-reaching effect it's going to have. Some examples from history. When metal tools came along, yeah, they realized it was easier to farm, it was easier to do work around the house, they didn't chip, they didn't break as much, but few could understand that it would lead to an increase in agricultural production, that would lead to the rise of cities, the rise of great civilizations, right? Stirrups invented in China, made it a lot easier to ride a horse. It also enabled the Mongols to sweep across Western Europe, bringing the Black Plague and a whole bunch of devastation with them. Europeans said, what? Man, we got to get us some of those things. They're awesome, right? Printing press, mentioned it before, changed the world. It put books in the hands of people who would never be able to get books otherwise. But it also led to the democratization of society, the secularization of society, and to the Industrial Revolution, which what? Led us to the industrial age in which we now live. But I promise you the history of communication in a minute, and let's see if I don't talk too fast and can make it. Those of you looking down at your phones, now's the time to look up, right? So, we started off with word of mouth. Pretty good, right? You had to be there, though. Didn't translate very well, opened a lot of misinterpretation. The travel problem was an issue. So we came up with cave paintings. They're a lot more visual medium. That would last a little bit. Again, that travel problem was an issue. So what the next step was tablets. They're awesome. You can't cut and paste, however, right? And don't drop them, because they'll break like tablets today. So then papyrus was a big advance. Still limited to a small number of scribes, kings, that sort of thing. But it did lead to the popularization of the printed word. Big deal. We already mentioned the printed press and how that changed life. I'll just skip on that really quickly. My minute's running out, right? Okay, so here we go. Radio, boom. Television came along. Did it kill radio? No. Then computers came along. Remember that box, how big it was? Ha. Now we're back to tablets. Tablets? How can we get back there? Actually, if you think about it, we're not only back to tablets, we're back to word of mouth. The internet has enabled people to share information around the globe from Australia to here in the same way there were two cavemen standing next to each other. In this case, telling you this is a great place for Marines to pick up at Cougars and vice versa in the city of Oceanside. So the point is, each new medium didn't replace the other one. Each new medium changed it. It changed it greatly. I didn't understand Marshall McLuhan when I studied him in college. Smart guy. I can't quote him enough, as you'll see through this presentation. So anyway, some examples. When this young man was selling newspapers in the street in Manhattan in 1919, those people are picking up breaking news from a printed product. They had not heard it before. They're going, oh my God, we're in World War II. This is bad news, right? When his grandson was selling newspapers and to announce the start of World War II, many of the readers had already picked up the news from the radio. The breaking news had already been distributed through an electric means of communication. People were already looking for a different role for the printed word, one of explanation, one of greater depth. The radio had changed the printed word. One medium had changed the other, right? Okay, I made it. Phew. So when radio came along, what did? We shoved vaudeville onto it. We shoved theater onto it, and people sat around staring at their radio like they were looking at the stage. Then along came television, and we realized this is a really visual medium. So what should we do? We should put radio on it. Worked out really great, right? Okay, we're still doing this. My shop is not the only one that allows you to get a copy of the printed paper online with some of the benefits of online. Most of the restrictions of print in an odd way. Print's not alone. You've probably encountered this. Ew, right? Okay, we're still trying to jam the old medium into the new medium. We're not evaluating the strengths, the benefits, the attributes, the different protocols, different expectations of the audience in each one. They're very, very different. And if we try to take the old thing and just put it in the new thing, it doesn't work and people click off. The point is, each platform is different. Marshall McLuhan again. Smart words. Requires different rules, different frameworks, different setups, as I mentioned. So here's a picture I really, really like. This is, again, 1919. This is a crowd in Asheville, North Carolina, watching the World Series by watching the scores being posted in the newspaper office, probably by some copy kids putting up placards. Why this is interesting, think how this experience, think of the quality of this experience. It's not like going to the ballpark. It's not like listening to a ball game on the radio. It's not like watching it on TV or reading it in print. Instead, it's more like Facebook. It's more like Twitter. The value of this experience is in the sharing. Sitting with your neighbors, with your friends, with your family, talking about the game, even though you know very little about it. That is a form of communication that we return to, that word of mouth. So what does this mean for us? It means we have to decide on each story, each package, each product we launch. How do we craft our report for each platform? How would people want to consume it on each? Are we using each medium to its full advantages, taking advantage of its benefits? And most importantly, how do we build this into our daily workflow? Not to have some big print package and at the end of the day try to figure out how to put it online. Marcia McLuhan again. We have to do this. Computers can't do that. Computers can write those bot stories. They can't figure this out. It's up to us to do so. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Uh-oh. I have no mouse now. Damn. My touchpad has been disabled. Again, mingle around amongst yourselves. That's bizarre.
That's really interesting.
I've never seen this happen before.
It's the URL. Any computer can do it. I didn't bring mine. Okay, whatever one, whoever's next, whatever.
Okay, I give up.
Let's do that.
It's that means of communication again.
Okay. Our next presenter is Amanda Kraus from the Texas Tribune, and the title of her presentation is called Do Read and Design, the Comments.
My time doesn't start till we get to stuff, right?
Yes. Yes. But you have to type fast. No pressure.
So what do I do to
Well,
zoom the image?
Just you have to pull it over. Just drag your mouse up to the top and then it'll shrink back down. There you go. Just put your,
oh, you know?
yeah. I'll let Mac.
I like to know like maximum. Okay. Let's we're just doing pro.
You have to move it over.
Hey, all right. Okay, thanks for your patience, guys. Okay, so this is basically just a case study. I'm from the Texas Tribune, and, oh, all right, let's see if that works. We did a digital op-ed site for the 21st century. It was a site we launched in April or May, I can't even remember at this point. But we knew we'd be discussing abortion and fracking and all sorts of things, and we wanted people to be able to comment, and I know that sounds crazy, but we were very devoted to this idea that it was a democracy and we needed to do it in a responsible way. So we partnered with the Engaging News Project, and FYI, I am not a member of the Engaging News Project. I might get some things wrong. I didn't know I was giving this talk, so if I say something statistically wrong, ask Talia Stroud, who's here, to correct it, because she's very nice and she knows I'm doing this. So they did some research, and we basically just asked them, what have you found that would help us design a comment section that doesn't suck? And we put a lot of their things in place, and we found good results. Point one, priming the pump. Don't leave this comment box blank. Put something in that models the tone of the conversation that you want. Keep it friendly. Keep it inviting. This might depend on your site, but we just said, you know, join the conversation. The idea being, it's not just a blank box inviting trolls to fill it. Involve actual humans. You kind of have to do this. I know people probably want an automatic bot, but the thing is, we were dealing with Wendy Davis, and people were calling her Abortion Barbie, and we were moderating that. Yeah? Okay. So we were having to do this by hand. We have a wonderful moderator. It does really need a human touch. And moreover, this is what we learned from the Engaging News Institute, you need to make the moderator's presence visible. You need to let people know that someone is actually reading their comments and they're gonna behave better, and actually they're gonna feel more listened to. And a feature we haven't put into place yet is a small video of our moderator basically explaining who he is and talking about how he moderates. And here again, you've got, you know, something reminding people that they're in a room with other people. If you don't have a lot of moderator resources, because it is a high resource thing, you can get the authors involved. Studies show that if you have the author comment as little as 4 times, that helps people, again, remember it's a conversation, and they can reward good comments and ignore bad ones. Finally, if you're really, really desperate, you can find good commenters and deputize them. You can start giving them some authority if you've got a community that already exists. So again, this is not high-tech stuff. This is just community management and some stuff that we've learned. Now, journalists, this is sort of the debate as to how much they should get involved, but they can help fact-check, essentially. And there's some research about that I've linked to if you want to look at it. This is our biggest feature. It's the respect button, and it's because a like button really doesn't work in a lot of situations. As it says, you can't like a death toll. If you're reading some terrible article, you don't want to like it. So what the research suggested was that if you put a respect button instead of a like button, people are more likely to listen to the other side of a political debate. They tested it with 2 separate issues, and it made commenters more likely to actually disagree with people of their own bent and listen to people that disagreed with them. And this was a major step forward for democracy. You can see it's got less polarizing language. It lets people see the other side more. You can also see, I've given the example of this one that criticized us for using clickbait, basically, and it got 8 respects and started to float up to the top because we sort them by respect. So this is another way in which we reward good behavior. How important was this? Well, let me tell you. We decided that we were never ever going to roll our own anything again because we spent too many resources doing that. But when it came to comments, we decided to roll our own. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the implementation for the tech people. We just extended Django comments. We used a backbone front-end interface to give some good interactivity. But I will tell you that this is going to be your biggest challenge if you're a small news organization. You're probably not going to find a respect button on Discuss. You're not going to find a respect button yet on WordPress, although the Engaging News Institute or project is building a plugin. So this is the place where I would say you can definitely do a lot of these if you're using Discuss or another third-party app, but you're not maybe going to get as good a result. But still, again, rolling your own might not be what you want. How much time do I have? Any?
You have 47 seconds.
Okay. I'm going to go my first slide really fast because I'm going to tell you why I care about comments. This is one of my favorite comment sections ever, and it's what's the single best episode of any genre TV show, and it's one of the least trolly comment sections you will ever see. And while I don't think we're ever going to have a panacea with political stuff especially that will get us to that point, seriously, read these comments. If people tell you not to read the comments, read these comments. Because you can see people having an articulate discussion about things they disagree on. Star Trek fans, X-Files fans, Futurama fans, all in one place, not trolling each other about their choices. So, like I said, do read the comments, get some inspiration, and hopefully, if you want any more ideas, come talk to me, because I know this was quick, but it has made a world of difference in our comments. It's a much better place. It's not perfect, but it's something I would highly recommend.
Thank you. Very good.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. I'm going to pull this up a little bit so that people can hear. Okay, next up is Jeremy Bowers. Jeremy, your presentation is on here? Okay. Oh, it's this one, the epistemology of breaking news. Honestly, I had to look up that word.
Yeah, it's a good
Epistemology. Okay, so this is going to be deep, everybody. Get ready. Okay.
Actually, really shallow and lots of gifs. All right, I got 5 minutes to talk about philosophy, so we're going to race a little bit. I want to talk about the epistemology of breaking news. So we have a problem with breaking news, and the problem is that we have a mismatch between what we want and what we can get. What we want is a tiny, thin drip of news that flows directly into the place where we want it, and without having to worry about any of the crazy that is behind it. Like, this cat doesn't have to worry about like water pressure or whether or not there's filtration or adequate groundwater supplies or any of those things. It's just a thin stream directly to the mouth hole. What we are actually getting is something a little more like this when Spadowski's, as we sit and wait in our cowboy hat for the breaking news to come to us, and instead we are taunted mercilessly by the internet. So desperate times call for desperate measures, and in this case the desperate measure is a large word, epistemology. Now, before you get all excited about it, epistemology is actually a relatively simple concept that even children and employees of newspapers can understand, and that is it is something like how we came to know the things that we know, right? right? This is the concept is essentially that there's more to life than just facts. There is also a little bit of metadata, which is how did we come to know that this fact is actually the case? And so I'm going to steal this extensively from Andy Carvin, a former coworker of mine at NPR. When we talked about breaking news one day over lunch, we decided that there was something important about the way that we talk about breaking news online. So you can see in this one, this is a case where we can confirm the cat was rescued from the tree. This is likely that a cat was actually rescued from a tree. This indicates that it's reported that a cat was rescued from a tree. Tells me that we probably wasn't rescued from a tree, or maybe it was. This is a little more maybe unlikely. Now it's like we're just making things up, and then finally this is like I'm just covering my behind because I have no idea whether or not the cat was actually rescued from the tree. So what you're looking at here is evidentiality, and the problem with evidentiality is that English is really bad at it. So here's an example. This is Twitter. This is the Boston Police Commissioner saying he believes the third blast at the JFK Library was related to the Boston Marathon explosions, which it was not. So as you understand, this is not correct, and so it doesn't take a bunch of first-rate minds to point that out. And so the thing about English that's so horrible is that 25% of languages, both spoken and written, include grammatical evidence of evidentiality. So now, before you are like Fry and don't understand what that means, all it really means is when you conjugate a verb, you have to tell how it is that you came to know that information. So you experienced it directly, you heard it from a person, you were told that by somebody, or it just appears to be the case. It's really fantastic, but it's really horrible that our language has basically prevented us from doing this. Actually, it's not just our language, it's most Romance languages. Most of the older languages that our languages are based on actually have this built in. So we need to be able to do something about it. Philosophers have a great word for it. It's called praxis. It means it's something that we can do in order to make things better. First thing we can do, radical transparency. When you and your newsroom are working on breaking news online, you should tell people some things. Now, I know that the newsrooms are going to have a lot of feelings about whether or not they should say, like, here's the process that we are working on and attempting to vet things, but these are the three states that information online can go through. Things that we know that are true, things that we know are false, and then things that we are checking out at the moment. The unfortunate part is the thing at the bottom is something that most news organizations fail to do because we don't want to tell anybody that we don't fully understand a situation. And so what that does is it leads people to think that we don't know about it, and it makes us look like idiots. Also, we should be okay at calling out false information. Andy Carvin did this really well on Twitter about various things, and it should be something that we're okay with. When we find out that something is false, we should tell people because it's important. Anyway, there's more to a fact than just the fact, too. A fact is why we know what we know. And so the atomic unit of a fact is more than merely the thing that happened. It's the thing that happened plus why we know that that's the case. And so the other thing that we need to do is take our knowledge to the streets. We can't just expect that people are going to come to us. We have to go to where they are. So we need to go on social networks, other places where people are discussing things. So at the very end, I promise that way we talk about Jürgen Habermas, who's a famous German philosopher. This is a quote from him. Anybody acting communicatively must raise universal validity claims and suppose they can be vindicated. All that really means is we have to be able to say things that we can prove are true or false. And the only way we can do that is by telling them exactly how it is that we came to know that it was true in the first place. That's about breaking news, and now you know what epistemology is. Thank you very much.
Very good. All right. Okay, next up we've got Jeremy Bellows. No, Greg Emerson. Greg Emerson? Yeah, where is he? Okay, right here. Greg Emerson, he's from newsday.com. And you have to switch laptops. Okay, let's switch the laptops. There you go, sir. You have a Mac too. All right, go ahead. And the title of his presentation is 5 Lessons Every News Organization Can Learn from Amazon.com.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't take your cue. I thought we were going to say it together, but.
Oh, do you want to say it together?
Yeah.
Amazon.com.
.com.
Okay, very good. All right, here we go.
Oh. I wasn't distracted. I was just in another window.
Make sure you speak into the mic.
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure I can get my present button here. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Emerson. I'm the deputy editor of newsday.com in New York. I also happen to be a big Jeff Bezos fan, and think there's a lot of ways that he runs Amazon and that he built it up that news organizations can learn from. Because at the beginning, they were making nothing on every transaction, their profit margins were so slim, and we were also obsessed with shopping malls that it didn't seem like anything could make us avoid a trip to the mall and change our culture that way. So the first lesson I want to talk about is one that's probably one of the more obvious ones. Find your Amazon Prime. A big reason for Amazon's success is they had this Prime shipping program that for a flat fee, people could get expedited shipping on anything they bought. So it made them buy more. I don't know how many people in this room are Amazon Prime subscribers, but I know I buy a lot more crap only because I know it'll be shipped to me in 2 days for free. Even the smallest thing, a freaking tube of chapstick, I will buy on Amazon.com. For news organizations, this means finding the parts of your business that feed that flywheel, the parts of your business that create more business. I think the equivalent to the Prime shopper for a news organization is the website visitor who signs up for your newsletters, signs up for your news alerts, signs up for your push alerts. These are people who are going to the next level, inviting you to come to them, and that way you can give them more content and better content that they will have more options to click on and ultimately feed your business a little bit more. Number 2, justify everything to the customer. This is a classic Jeff Bezos technique. He leaves an empty chair in every meeting with his senior staff and the board members to symbolize the customer. So the equivalent for us is to symbolize the reader. We got to make sure the reader is in every single decision that we make. Every blog that we have, every section vertical, every special project we invest time in, there's got to be a user-facing reason for us to do that. And even more importantly, editors need to be able to articulate that clearly. One thing that Jeff Bezos also did in these meetings is that he banned PowerPoint presentations, which for executives is probably made their heads explode. Instead, he made them present their ideas or propose any changes by writing the 2-page public-facing press release about it. If you couldn't articulate it in a way that the public would understand and value, then why are we doing it? Number 3, become a platform. Amazon started out selling books, and they pissed the hell out of their book suppliers when they decided that actually what we're good at is shipping and distribution and bringing buyers and sellers together. So they put used listings alongside new book listings, and immediately a lot of the publishers pulled their books from the shelves. Amazon was so good at being a platform that those book publishers shortly thereafter realized they couldn't afford not to be on that platform. The application for news is pretty clear. I mean, a lot of people come to news brands because they trust that editorial judgment. They trust that they will surface good content for them. So whether it's linking to other sources within your articles or having other sites' content on your site, you got to be a platform these days. It's actually something that the Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos, recently implemented with their feature The Most, which you may have seen. So it's a page on Washington Post where you can get the top stories from other sites, many of whom are competitors. Number 4, reward employees for the values that you want your company to have, not the metrics. There's been a lot of talk at this conference about metrics, and I think a lot of journalists are scared about using metrics to measure success and to sort of have people be accountable to that. What's important here is that you've got to reward the values that lead to those high metric goals, right? You don't want to just reward someone for getting 2 million page views in the day on a piece of content. You want to reward the fact that they jumped on a story early. At Newsday, we have a Staffer of the Month award, right? There are many reasons why you can win, a couple winners in this audience, but it's instead of just saying, oh, you did a great job, your project got a lot of hits, you say, you found a new way to cover this story, you're getting a $50 Starbucks gift card, and you're going to value that a little bit higher than just knowing the numbers. Number 5 is the lesson that the people closest to the problem are the best equipped to solve it. For Amazon.com, when they had problems, instead of that top-down hierarchical problem-solving approach that a lot of news organizations have, they put together small teams of the people who dealt with this stuff every day. They called them 2 pizza teams because if they were staying late at night, you could feed them with just 2 pizzas. So instead of having your group of editors all come together to try to figure out how to solve this problem, you got to just have a couple stakeholders from a couple of teams and have them work the problem. They come up with a solution, and then, yeah, you run it up the chain and you make it happen. Well, thank you very much. I couldn't resist just one more bonus lesson, which I hope most of you will realize. Don't make a phone.
Very good.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, let's give a nice round of applause to all of our presenters today. I don't know about you, but I thought those were 7 great presentations, weren't they? So we have one more. Is that? I'm very sorry, Tyler. Tyler Fisher. We've got one more presentation. I blame it on Microsoft Excel. Oh, gosh.
No worries.
Okay.
Here.
Whichever side.
I got it.
Okay. All right. Tyler Fisher is from NPR, and the title of his presentation is Writing About Music, Moment by Moment. At least I got the crowd hyped for you. Right? Okay.
Okay. I am not going to mirror. Give me a second here. I have a script I don't want you to see. Okay, hi, I'm Tyler. I'm probably going to be a major disappointment after all that hype. I'm launching a new project called Euphanos. If you followed me for a couple years, you may know that that is my old Twitter handle. Euphanos is kind of a homecoming for me because, let me advance slides. College is weird. I went to college trying to do something totally different than what I came out doing. I think that's the case for a lot of people. I entered college wanting to be a music writer. And I left college as a programmer. Things didn't work out how I thought they would. I had a couple internships at music programming, at music publications, and I kind of found a world I didn't like. There was really no community, and it's certainly nothing like what we have here at ONA and NICAR and things like that. I became sort of disillusioned with professional music writing, and I started learning how to program, and through a few lucky breaks, it became my full-time gig. It's probably the best thing that's happened to me. However, my passion for music never left. And one of the first things I did as a developer was build a tool called SoundSite.js. It's a tool that allows you to create what's called an audio citation. It allows you to embed little clips of audio in line with text. And then it's a sort of hyperlink where you can click the words and then some sound plays. So there'll be one later. And I wrote this out of my experience of writing about music. The hardest thing about writing about music is writing about music. Putting sound into words is extremely difficult. Our vocabulary is really limited, and the reader is generally just kind of dissatisfied when they read someone writing about music, unless they're extremely good at it. I was not. We tend to also, I'm sorry, I lost, hold on. Okay, yeah. So SoundSite's been used. I've been very happy with its use. This is a screen cap from a New York Times project, The Ballad of Geechee and Elvie, which you may have seen. Used SoundSite in the middle of the text to quote some of the songs of these old blues artists, and they're quoting specific lyrics of these songs, which is, if SoundSite has been with music, which has been rare, this is how it's been used. It's been used to sort of quote lyrics. And I think that's great, but it's sort of not as deep as you can go. I think you can use SoundSite in a way to talk about musical moments that aren't words and provide more context. So let's talk about middle school me. I remember a specific moment in my life. I was in 7th grade, and my mom was driving me to middle school jazz band practice, and that was the first year I was playing the bass in jazz band. And I wasn't that excited about it. Like, it was better than playing the trombone. It's pretty lame. It wasn't as cool as playing the guitar. My brother played, and the guitar is so much cooler. The bass is like more something people needed, and I could read bass clefs, so I played the bass. But then I was in the car, and Muse's Hysteria played on the car, and I'd never heard it before. I don't really care about Muse anymore, but the bass line of this song really stuck with me. I don't know if I have audio. Let's hope I do. This is the bass line. No, I don't have audio. That sounds right. So the 7th grade me, that was like the coolest thing I ever heard. And it really made me want to play the bass, and that's sort of a moment of music that changed me. Whenever I pick up a bass to this day, it's really one of the first lines I play, just because I can, play it without much effort anymore, because I've memorized it, and it can get a good feel for how a bass plays. what I just told is sort of a particular moment, musical moment that I experienced. I think it still extends to music criticism and music writing in general. When we write about music in sort of a general way. We write about music as a whole. And we don't talk about these individual moments because they're hard to talk about. But when you think about music, what you remember the hook of a pop song, or you remember a movement of a symphony, you remember your favorite parts. And so Euphonos is going to be a project that's going to be writing about these musical moments. And we're not approaching music as a whole, approaching some of my favorite moments in music. So I look forward to getting feedback about it, what you think about it. It's going to be at euphonos.net. There's a little explainer, sort of a written version of what I just told you on the site there right now, and I hope to be launching very soon. Thanks.
All right. Okay, now as I adjust my Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, I now have, there's 7 presentations, 7 presenters. Please give them all another round of applause. Okay, so we have exactly 12 minutes. If anyone has a question for our presenters, some of them are still here, walk up to the mic, and if you have a comment or a question for them, we're more than happy to field it right now. All right.
Just a real quick.
Who are you, and who are you addressing your question to?
I'm Greg Lynch, Washington Post. Question, well, more of just a quick observation for Tyler. I'm just struck about, from the description of Euphonos, you're sort of, as we've moved towards atomizing news, atomizing music. So just interesting connection there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Going once? Going twice? Okay, this session is over. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day.